Okay, hi everyone, thank you for inviting me. And as Pau says, I'm a learning environment designer and educational researcher. And today I'm going to present an ongoing design-based research on learning environment for teachers, for teacher education. This is my special partner and friend, the constructionist, the constructivist Octopus. This is very precious friend when I have to explain and work on methodology during the training I run. The project, the study, the design-based research is taking place at Laboral Art Center in Gijón, Asturias. There is an art center who work in the intersection of art, science, and technology. It has a quite rich educational program. So the project is named AULAB, and the goal of the research is to define some design principle for teacher education in making. But why making, and which kind of teacher we have in mind? My presentation will be more on motivations and processes than results of the ongoing research, because I think right now we are living kind of trendy moment for education. Especially STEAM education, educational research about technology implementation in educational setting, especially making. And sometimes I think we forgot to define what we really mean and why we do choices in order to implement better learning environments for kids and students. So, why making? Making is, for us, a kind of emergent inquiry-based educative practice that has the potential to make a change in traditional teaching. This is not new. It's just an occasion, a chance to bring what, for example, Seymour Papert was saying from the 70s, that we need to use technology as a material for building and self-expression, and not just study the technology or use the technology like customer and users, right? So we have now the possibility to bring this kind of progressive education into the school, again, with more powerful tools than before. And this resonates also with one of the work of Paulo Freire's, Pedagogia da Autonomia, who reflect about how an educator has to know in order to do his job. And one of the important things is the capacity of critical thinking and interpretation of the complexity we are surrounded by, especially in our case, as we are living surrounded by technology. We need to understand the political determination of technology, the complexity, all these layers we are in it. And a primary school teacher has to do so, and a secondary school teacher too, because now we need to prepare our kids to understand, to interpret all this complexity. Also, making is in the same line of approaches, pedagogical approaches who are very old, centuries in a story of pedagogy. For example, the learning by doing, the learning by design, the approach by Pestalozzi or maybe Rousseau before, the idea that the learning happens not because there is a transfer of information. It happens because we are living an experience, we are in a context, we are sharing and expressing with others and building artifacts or express ourselves in general. So just an instance of that, nothing new. But now because of this hype of making, it's possible to come again and implement what Munari was saying, and Maria Montessori and Reggio Emilia approach to. So making is not 3D printing for us. Well, yes, we use 3D printing, but it's very important, I think, to focus on methodology, because right now we have a lot of tools, powerful, fancy, super wide tools, but we are, in most cases, using them in an old way, like an old blackboard, or in a way that is very similar to banking education, that is very similar to the education used during the Industrial Revolution, in order to train everyone at the same time doing a very simple task. So what we need to change is the mindset, is the methodology we use, is the beliefs of teachers that are very important. And in informal context, educational informal context is easier, but in the real school, it's very, very complicated because of the structure, because of the teacher training, because of, it's very, very complex. I can't explain it right now. So, what teacher we have in mind? A teacher as a designer, a teacher that is it's a reflective practitioner who know how to observe the practice, observe the students, be a researcher, be acknowledged builder and sharer, a kind of pedagogical artisan. I think we need to abandon the idea of the mass education and come back to the idea of pedagogy as art, as craft work. And we are doing it. For example, there is a very interesting field study named Learning Design, who work on this idea from several perspectives. From the concept, from the practice, learning design as concept, the practice, and trying to build a descriptive framework in order to share these practices among schools. And another idea and format of training is helping us in that. The idea of teacher design research, the idea of involving in deep, long project, involving teacher in deep, long project in order to shape the space, redesign curriculum, crafting educational material, reflecting, whatever. So the teacher training is at the same time as zone for innovation, a zone where practitioner and researcher are working together, building real knowledge. And this is the way we are trying to work. In the practice, what we do is a collaborative participatory research of learning environments. We test it, and we gonna use some knowledge we extract from that, together with students, teachers, researchers, and the people who, the network, the community of the Art Center. Yeah. Okay, I'm sure you are familiar with this methodology, because in design, in software design, and engineering is very popular, but in education is not so popular yet. So we start with a preliminary model based on theory and the requirement. We design a learning environment, we implement it, we analyze it, and we pass through several design cycles. During all the process, we are collecting data. And these data are used to improve the design, but at the same time are used for the production of theory. So for answering why things happen. The kind of data we use is, well, it's very similar to ethnography, a lot of participation, analysis of artifacts, reflective practice, and all you can see there. And this is a sample of the outcome we have. For example, in this dimension, we detect several needs in implementing the learning environment in Fab Lab. And the 80% was about emotional management, about the urge to intervene during the creative process of the kids, and things that are not so related with design and technology. A problem with documentation, and a problem with self-learning. And what we do with all that, we readapt the design, and right now we have elaborated this model. There is not definitely, but we try to to go on and implement the part of the education laboratory that is the very hard part. So I think the strong of this model is the training in practice, because we are working with the teacher and the students at the same time, so we can intervene and observe and interact with them just in the classroom, and all the time they are working with us. So there the teachers can see the magic of work in a constructionist way. Let kids free of experiment and to go on with their creative process. And every day I ask myself this question. This is very difficult because you have a lot of data and you are doing a lot of things at the same time, and it can be very, very, very hard. But I think it's good to do. Sorry, these are little of references. Texts have inspired me during this trip, and thank to you for listening.
Okay.